So I'm confused. Hudson Hawk, released in 1991 sometime. Directed by Michael Lehman, I think. So it had a production budget of 65 million. I don't know how. A domestic take of 17 million, which, you know, kind of makes sense. It's the international take of 80 million that surprises me. For a worldwide total of 97 million and a profit of like what, 32? What? Starring Bruce Willis, Andy McDowell, James Coburn, and Danny Aiello. Danny Aiello. Some others that annoyed me enough that I don't even want to think about it. Out of nowhere, David Caruso. Anyhow, I don't know what's going on in this movie, and let's have a look at that now. So, characters. Okay. Yeah, alright. Look, the characters are surreal in many ways. I mean, there's a couple of realistic, believable ones. And that's Hudson Hawk and Five Tone. Those guys are pretty good. You buy into them at the start of the movie. Actually, you're going to hear that a lot. At the start of the movie, it's actually pretty good. It's just when the things develop, it just gets weird. So the Hawk, Hudson Hawk, he is your master criminal. He's your master cat-burglar thief guy. And they demonstrate that he's very, very, very good at what he does. And he plans very specifically, but he's minimalist. And that I did like. He's the strongest character in the movie, which thankfully is a very good thing. Even when it gets a little weird, he manages to come back to a bit of reality there. He has the least weird moments in the movie, but he still has them. Five Tones, he is a great sidekick, a good sidekick. There's a fairly strong amount of banter and back and forth, and the friendship, you know, between the Hawk and Five Tones is quite good. I don't think this movie would have worked at all, actually, without Five Tones just being there. Andy McDowell as the Secret Service nun. Alright, she is okay. Call it passing average on a squeak. Replaceable. There you go. Very, very replaceable. She is not in any way intrinsic to this film. You could replace this actress with any other actress and they probably do an okay job. Because there's really nothing to it. James Coburn, thoroughly wasted in this role as the villain, but not quite the villain. A villain. He's one of the villains in this movie. His motives are the clearest and the cleverest until the end where he turns into a moron. Whatever role he's in, that voice, that smile, that swagger, it's good. It's the only thing that carries that character though. Everyone else are either forgettable or annoying. Fine. The Mario Brothers, Kit Kat, Snickers, Almond Joy, and Butterfinger. Alright, I'll mention the brother or sister. I really hope they're husband and wife, but you get the feeling it's brother and sister, and it's all sorts of overacting, wrong, weird, and I don't like them. They up the cringe overacting factor to like 11. If they just dialed it back a little bit, then they would have probably been better. Don't like it. Don't like it. Anyway, yes, characters. A score for characters. I don't know what to do with this. They were really quite bad. Or their concept got lost in the mishmash of on-the-spot rewrites and all the production troubles that this movie apparently had. The thing is that they're memorable. They really are quite memorable characters. Actually, everyone other than Hudson Hawk and Five Tones is pretty much a cartoon. I think I'll give the characters a 2.5. It would be a lot lower, except they are memorable. And they are such cartoons of themselves that I kind of have to think it was intentional to be that weird. Yeah, alright, characters 2.5. Story, it's a train wreck. Story, it's just untidy, it's sloppy, it's choppy. It's all over the shop and it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, again, the opening has such promise. The story at the start looks kind of cool. And then it gets weird. In fact, I've been watching this on the train. And at the moment it gets weird. At the 20-minute mark, it gets weird. But the very short version is you got a master thief, the Hudson Hawk, who is released from jail, immediately pressured into doing crime by his parole officer, followed up by the CIA and some psychotic, evil American corporation to steal these different components from the Da Vinci masterpiece collection because he came up with this magical device that can turn lead into gold. Alchemy! The first part of the story, as I've said and will continue to say throughout this review, was good. The first bit made sense. After that, it's a patchwork of ideas. And it can't seem to get a lock on whether or not it's a crime caper, an action movie, or just, I don't know, a badly done romance. The answer is yes to all three, with a lot of the badly done element. It's just a run around the world then, where you've got the CIA, the Vatican, the evil corporation, all trying to get hold of these components. Hudson Hawk really not wanting to do any of this. There's betrayal, there's love, there's intrigue. Alright, there's no intrigue. You can see it coming a mile away. They telegraph this pretty much within the first 25 minutes. And now that I've read up on the behind the scenes chaos and the multiple mid-movie rewrites, and just all the chops and changes and everything else, you can kind of see it now. Now knowing that, and thinking about this film, I can see where all of that was. And as a result, it's gonna trash. The story itself is gonna get a 1.75, which is a shame, because there were bits and pieces in there that were pretty good. You could have lined that up into something useful. But they didn't. Look and feel. It looked okay for most of it. You know, the sets were fairly impressive. The scenarios and the setup and all the big action pieces and the thievery type of stuff, that was all kind of cool. Actually, when Hudson Hawk's running around being a thief, that's the best parts of the movie. It happens twice. I think a lot of their money went on the look and feel, because they seem to be in a lot of interesting locations. And if they aren't on a location, then that's a really quite convincing set, because it feels like a location, not just a backlot somewhere. Or have enough indicators for your brain to go, hey, they're in Rome. So that worked. The camera work was regularly and usually quite good. Every now and then it just got really wacky, like everything else in this film, and they must have experimented with something, or someone had a good idea, and that idea didn't really work. Jarringly so. Some of the cuts, some of the chops, some of the bad panoramas and stuff really threw the timing out the window. Not too often, but enough that when it happened, it was like a slap. It's like, what was that? Huge props for the musical choices in this. That was fun. The fact that this occasionally turned into a musical number, twice, again actually. We had 2 musical scenes in this one. Weird, fun. That stuck in my head. I got both those songs in my brain now. I'm gonna have to go download them. All that constructed quite well. It was disconnected and disjointed with everything else that was kind of happening. The sets felt good. Everything else that was happening in the sets quite often felt very forced. Very forced, actually. Costumes weren't bad, for the most part. And then when they were bad, I think they had to be intentionally bad. The sister, the wife, Hope, her outfits were increasingly bizarre. And that was kind of fun. She was meant to look like she was insane, and I think they did a good job. Special effects, what they weren't terrible, I suppose, for the 90s. Mainly just explosions, really. Just mainly explosions and a couple of dissolves. Alright, then there's a really bad fight scene on the roof. We just won't think about that too much. Look and feel, I'm gonna go ahead and give look and feel a 3. Because at least did what it was meant to do. It looked like what it was meant to look like. It put you in the scene, put you in the setting, put you in the mood. Nothing jumped out and jarred at you as terrible. Apart from a couple of the props, which is why it isn't getting any higher. It was a perfectly functional, looking, feeling, sounding movie. Except for the parts where it turns into goofball theatre with the Tom and Jerry sound effects and the springboard stuff. If I'd remembered that at the time of filming, it should have a much lower score. Script and higher dialogue. Oh. Much like this movie, my notes start out nice and calm, and then I'm just yelling. I'm all caps and scribble by the end of this. At the start, it promises pretty good things. It feels tight, well written, and clever. The witty banter, the carry on, the back and forth, it's nice. The exposition, it's also nice. The whole setup for the storyline at the very first, like I said, the first 20 minutes of this movie, pretty darn good. And then it just goes all bad. A lot of the side gags work. You've got some very clever little funny side gags in this movie. Those work pretty well. You know, mainly because there's no one talking. The verbal stuff, the funny moments delivered, not really. It'd be better if there weren't so many people trying to be funny. It was just the Hawk and Five Tones being the funny guys around everyone else. That'd be much better. But the fact that everyone's getting in the campy, overacting funny stuff, not so much. It really doesn't work. Major negatives for the rape joke. And that was the thing about this movie. A majority of it is badly handled and just pointless. A lot of the dialogue could just be skipped. Completely unnecessary stuff, especially from the CIA agents. The only one of them I really liked was Kit Kat because he didn't say anything. The rest of them just sprouted rubbish. It was just pointless having them there, pointless them talking. I mean, all of them were pointless. There was no need for any of that. Just make them standard CIA agents. Standard guys in suits, much more threatening, much more effective. What's that like a bunch of failed X-Men who were kicked out of Xavier's college for actually just being cosplayers? Like, what was that about? Apart from Kit Kat, only good one in the lot. It's got some weird, it's got some cool stuff actually. Using the skateboards to creep around to do their crimes in the auction house. They were just gliding around silently. That was clever. And then in contrast, you got the ambulance abduction, which turned into a chase sequence with the Hawk on the back of a gurney, then racing other cars on a gurney. It just made no sense. Nothing in that scenario, that whole sequence, made any sense. It was, as many people have said, surreal. And it's so at odds with the start of the film. It is very clear that this was just made up as it went along. Or if it wasn't, good grief, it got messy in there and the editors must have just salvaged what they could. It's one of those 90s movies that's got really good bits and then it sucks and then it recovers and then it sucks again. Then it recovers and it never really lands anywhere other than splat. The only bit that made me hang in there in many ways was the looks that Bruce Willis was able to pull, as his character, the Hawk, was just as dumbfounded and confused as you were for most of this film. And just to be clear, I absolutely hate the writing for the brother-sister, husband-wife combo villain team. I really don't like them. I don't like the way they're acted. I don't like their writing. I like nothing about those two. They're so very annoying. Yeah, I'm going to have to give this one give it a 2. Only because of the song and dance numbers and some of the other slightly cool and clever bits. Fun factor. Did I have fun? Well, I was laughing. Yes, I'll admit that. I quite enjoyed parts of this film, but not enough. I found a lot of it to be frustrating. I found a lot of it to be cringy and just irritating me. It bugged me a fair bit. At the same time, I was smiling more than some others. I suppose it was fun in a lot of B-grade movie sorts of ways. Let's be clear, this isn't a good movie, okay, people? I did not really have fun, but I also didn't have a bad time. I don't want to give it a 3. 2.75, I think. It is not good, but I still managed to enjoy myself for the bits that were enjoyable. But then there's these two. And that can really pull a movie down, characters like that. But we're going to leave it at 2.75 because I did enjoy myself and I really did like the song and dance stuff. Final score, add them all up. You get yourself a 12, higher than expected, I'll admit. But look and feel did raise it. So that's its saving grace, I suppose. Would I recommend this movie? Having further reviewed this and thought about it more, no, I would not. This is a great example of the disastrous scene of the cinema in many ways that occurred during the 90s. Don't get me wrong, we got a lot of great stuff in the 90s, alright? But then you got things like this, and that happened a lot more than you think. The further I look into it, the kind of murkier those woods get. That's my review of Hudson Hawk. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I would like to know, what do you think of this movie? Have you seen it yet? Because I want to know, is it as bad as I thought it was, or did you manage to really enjoy it a lot more? Anyhow, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you're having a great week and you find some time to go and watch a movie.